morning and happy Sunday. I'm actually recording this video on a Sunday and I want to give you disclaimers. I'm fighting against the sun and I'm trying to do this video on the Sunday, so forgive me. Okay, now let's get into the content. You're gonna see some of the sun glare up in the video. I apologize, but yeah, let's get into it. I've done my lashes off camera and I've done my brows off camera as well. So we're going to do my makeup. So I wanted to do my makeup on a Sunday morning so you guys will get ready with me for church. And we chat a little bit. And I want to share some of my favorite Bible verses with you guys. And I will say this also, if you're not a Christian and you want to walk away from this video, that's fine. But I would just ask that you stay and just listen. Just listen. You never know. You might get blessed from this. You might see Christianity a little differently, or just listen. I'm not asking you to watch my video. I'm asking for views. I'm asking you to just allow a Christian girl talk to you about why she loves God. Okay, so I hope that is good enough reason to make you stay. If it's not, I understand. Okay, now let's get into the video. I am getting ready for church. I'm gonna be fast. I am an usher in my church, actually. I've never shared that part of my life with you guys, but I'm an usher in my church. I serve. Growing up, that's one thing I always wanted. This is light, don't mind it. It's going to be just fine. Growing up, that's one thing I always wanted to do is serve in the house of God, is to be an usher. I don't know. I just thought it was really cool welcoming people into God's house and, be like, oh, have a seat. You're welcome to church. You're welcome. How was your day? Like, I don't know. I thought it was always cool. So when the opportunity came for me to serve in my church as an usher, the way I read, my husband was so shocked because he was like, I would think you want to do something else, but an usher, that it was a surprise to him, just as it was a surprise to a lot of my friends when I tell them. But yeah, I'm an usher in my church. I truly love it. I love to serve. I think because it's because of my love for hosting. Wait, why am I not doing this right? Again, I'm fighting against the sun and the glare, so please forgive me on that. It's Sunday morning, like I said. I think because I love to host and I see ushering as me hosting people in the house of God. I know that's such a... I got a new foundation, by the way. I'm trying out. I think it's a little light for my skin. I don't know, but we're going to see. So I'm just going to do a tad bit of it. Yeah, it's really light, and adding that white cream underneath didn't help either, but that's okay. I'm doing a really light makeup today for church and other stuff I have to do after church. So yeah, I see ushering in church as me hosting people because I love to host. I see it as I'm hosting people in the house of God. I don't know, it's such a simple analogy of it, but that's just the truth. I love it. Yeah, I've been doing it for about since February, I believe. Yeah, either February or early March was my first day as an usher in the church, but I've been doing it for a little bit of time now. I started this year though, so it's one of my good things to do. I don't care how tired I am from the week. When it's my Sunday to serve, it just makes me really happy, and I look forward to going and just standing and welcoming people in the house of God. I honestly truly love it. It makes me very happy. But yeah, it helps me with everything else I have going on. It's like something I look forward to. I'm like, okay, I have all this work and stuff going on with me. This is a time. This is a time for just myself and just spend time with God. So yeah, that's that. And then let me share some of my favorite Bible verses with you guys. So I was born and raised in a Christian household. I actually was born and raised Lutheran, but we left the Lutheran church. I think I left earlier than my parents. My parents was in the Lutheran church longer than I was. Now my parents worship Baptist. And I My church is not it's in Houston. They're considered a non-domination, but when you look them up online, but I don't think they are. I think they're more of like a Baptist church, to be honest, because our pastor grew up Baptist, and his sermon he preached like a Baptist pastor, and and I think that's what it is, but I could be wrong. But yeah, I there's no particular reason why I left the Lutheran church. I'm not going to sit here and tell you say this is why. No, if you're Lutheran, that's fine. I grew up Lutheran. My husband. The other part about this is my husband is not Lutheran, so I was already worshiping at the church I'm at before I met my husband and I got married. And when he came to Houston, he went to my church once. He fell in love with it. He fell in love with the message. He fell in love with the sermon. And he just decided to stay there. He went to his church in Houston. The church he used to worship with, they have a branch here in Houston. He went to it and he came back. He was like, no, we're just going to go to your church. I like the message. I like the sermon there. So that's one thing I love about my husband. He's very much spiritual, not just relation with Jesus. He's a spiritual person. Religion doesn't play the key role. He preferred to spend time with God himself. But yeah, that is that. So, like I said, I don't have no big story as to why I left the Lutheran church. I left a long time ago. When I came to Houston, I couldn't find a Lutheran church to worship with that I felt the presence of God in. I think those are some of the reasons why I just found something where I wanted to. For me, I was when I moved to Houston, I was going through a really, really tough time. And I needed a church. I needed a place that would bring me closer to God, that would bring me so close to the point where because God was the only person I was leaning onto, I was holding onto during my challenging times. So I couldn't afford to be in a church where God was in the center of it all. Now, I'm not saying that's not what was happening in those Lutheran churches. I visited a couple of them. There were one I visited. I just felt when the pastor stood on the pulpit, I didn't see God. I saw something else. I felt something else. And one thing about me, I have the spirit of discernment with me. If I don't feel the presence of God somewhere, you're not going to catch me back there. You're not going to see me there. I'm not going to show up. And I think that was the last straw for me. I had visited so many other Lutheran churches. I couldn't connect. And then when I went to that one, it was just, ooh, this is not it. This is not where I belong. Peace. So yeah, that's that. So sharing some of my favorite Bible verses. Um, my number one is probably everybody's favorite, but I don't think so. My number one Bible verse that I will always say, even when I'm going through something or when I feel like I'm afraid of something, is Second Timothy 1:7, and it says, "God has not given me the spirit of fear, but of love, peace, and fine mind." When I tell you, I quote that Bible verse way too much. I feel like Paul wrote that Bible verse that specifically to me, even though it was for Timothy. But I feel like it was written specifically for me because when I tell you the amount of time I say that verse in a day, you'll be like, "Mo, that's too much." But it's just my go-to verse. It's like it helped me through so much, especially being a new mom. When I'm having a like scared or the baby is like having a moment or when I was in labor, when I was pregnant, like when something is overcoming me or like in the day when I'm in the house, I get this fear or like something is going on with my business or in life. I repeat that Bible verse so much so to the point where it's my go-to. It is my go-to to God. It's like something I have to use to remind myself that God is with me, I shall not fail, and I am protected by God. Speaking of God is with me, I shall not fail is my second Bible verse. I used to use that Bible verse so much when I was in college. It is from Psalm. I know I never get the verse right. It's either Psalm 45 verse 148 or 45 verse 8, something like that. I never get it well, right? But it said, God is in her, she shall not fail. It's my second Bible verse. I said, new business owner. When I was in college is what I used to use a lot to help me through college, especially doing classes when I feel like the class or the exam is something that I'm struggling with, or I'm studying and I just not it's not clicking for me. I used to recite that Bible verse a lot. I feel like that Bible verse carried me through college single-handedly. I still have it in my personal email signature, as like that's how much I used that Bible verse when I was in college, because it was one thing that carried me through. Where is my? There we go. It was one thing that carried me through college. That specific Bible verse. Like when you emailed me for the first time, I remember I was working on something with a company, and I emailed the lady. I mistakenly emailed her from my personal email, and she saw that Bible verse. She was like, "Oh my God, you're a Christian!" Like she went out of her way to get me that work I was trying to get with that brand. She was like, because I don't know, she just really loved the fact that I was a Christian. I had a Bible verse in my signature. She connected to that so well, and she was like, "That's one of her favorite Bible verses. It carried her through a lot of things." So yeah, it was my college that Bible verse, and I rolled the wave through college. I'll put it on the screen for you guys. I often don't get the passage correctly, but I know it's in the book of Psalm. It's either 146 verse 8 or 145 verse 8, something like that. But I'll put it on the screen for you to see. Okay. Next, I'm using the wrong brush with this because I'm trying to skim through. I don't want to be late for church. Like I said, I'm serving today. My next favorite Bible verse is the phone number to heaven, as I call it. It's Jeremiah 33:3. It says, "Call upon me, and I, God, will show up and do great and mighty things that you know not of." When I tell you, I found that Bible verse in my 30s, actually. I found out about it in my 30s. And I feel like I used it so much. If you don't know the backstory of it, I think it was when Jeremiah was in prison or something like that. Don't hold me to it. I don't know the full story behind it. But he did not call to God early. And then God, when he finally did, and then God spoke to him, and God told him, "Call upon me, Jeremiah, and I will show up and do great and mighty things you know none of." So that Bible verse is like the phone number to heaven. Just how we have 911, I feel like that, my friend, because it's literally Jeremiah 33:3. So it's 333. It is the phone number to heaven. I remember I shared that on the panel I spoke on once, and a lot of people took it home with them. People DM me about it. People came to me after this speech, after my paneling speech, and they were like, "Oh my God, thank you, I appreciate that," and they truly love that Bible verse. So yeah, it is the phone number to heaven. If you're ever looking for the phone number to heaven, just call Jeremiah 33:3 and call on God, girl. He's there. He is always there. He is always available to us. He is present more than you can ever know. So yeah, that is that one. And my other favorite Bible verse is John 11:35. Jesus wept. I don't use this Bible verse often because I see it in a way where God was sad, and he's not a person that hold on to sorrow, because he does not want bad things for us. So I don't think he doesn't like sorrow. So the reason why Jesus wept, if you don't know this, it was because his friend, they call him God best friend, Jesus best friend, but I think Peter was his best friend. His friend Lazarus has passed away, and he has been dead and buried for 3 days, I believe. And they searched for Jesus, and he came late. Then his Lazarus sisters was expecting him to come. So when he came, he saw Lazarus in the tomb, and he wept. And it happened to all of us, right? We have sad times, even though we are Christians, but we have times where things are just sad, or things are not going our way, and we hold on to it, and we just forget that God is there. So even though it's a Bible verse, I hold on to see God in a more normal light of life. Like, okay, he's a person. Well, he's a spirit. He's not a person, but he feels the pains we feel. He feels the life we feel. So because he's wept, I see it as, okay, he sees me. He understands every emotions I feel. So when things are not going my way, I know that, okay, even when I'm sad or I'm feeling these emotions, I know God also has emotions and he feels them. Someone said God is a girl dad, and I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that God is a girl's dad because men had to go through a lot of things to get God to stand up for the women. We just gotta say one word and he show up. Like he show up. Even for Mary to conceive Jesus, God sent his biggest angels to talk to her. He was like, I need to talk to this girl. I'm not just gonna knock her up. You know what I mean? So I think he's a girl's dad. I think so. So that's why that Bible verse, even though it's a sorrow, is a sad, or see God in a more humanly form. I need to learn to do my brows because this thing doesn't work. I've tried. I've really, really tried. My brow never turns out right. Anyway, yeah, that's one of my favorite Bible verses. I don't have a lot of Bible verses I hold on to, but there's one I recently found, and you're not ready for this one. It is from the book of Proverbs. It is Proverbs 19:17. He said, when you do good for the poor, you are owing God a debt, and God always repay his debt. Hallelujah. I just found that Bible verse a month, 2 months ago, or 3 months ago. And when I tell you, I gagged. I gagged when I saw somewhere that Bible. I was like, excuse you? Every time I do good for someone that is not in the position to do good for themselves, I am owing God. God is like, I'm loaning to God. Is that what this Bible verse is telling me? And yep, it is. Look it up. It is. Every time you do good for the poor, you are borrowing to God. I might be paraphrasing this. It might not be saying in that exact light, but yes, it says you're loaning to God, and God always pay back. So, my dear friend, nobody should force you to give to the church or give to the poor, but just know when you do, out the willingness of your heart, yeah, you're loaning to Yahweh, and Yahweh always pay his debt. Okay, I'll stop here because I'm almost on my makeup. I'm about to go, but here is a few names that I love to call God in my prayer time. This is getting really, really spiritual. I hope you guys are enjoying it. This is a very not normal or traditional content for me. I never do this, but I was talking to God before I sat in front of the camera. What should I say? And this just felt in my spirit to share my favorite Bible verses, my favorite time with God. So that's what I'm doing. So let's talk about my favorite, the names that I love to call God when I'm praying. I call him Abba Father. Now, there are places in the Bible where, one second. Okay. Now, there are places in the Bible where God is called these specific names. Like my family, my prayer group and I, we've been reading the book of Genesis for 2 years. That's another story for another day. And you'll see where Abraham gave God a name and named this place, or Isaac gave God a name and named the place. So, uh, when Jacob wrestled with the angel, he named the place. So there are different places in the Bible where God is given a name. So you can look that up. I don't have time to do that for you right now. But I will say, when I'm praying, some of my favorite names to call him, probably my number one is Abba Father, because he is the Father. He is our God. He is our King. So I love, love, love to call him Abba Father. I love to call him Jehovah Yahweh, Jehovah Shara, Jehovah Jireh. A lot of these names have meaning to them, by the way. And again, I don't have time to give it. This is not a really sit down, slow down, and talk about things video. So I apologize. But there are a lot of, there are many to these names. If I'm not mistaken, Jehovah Jireh means the God of healer or something like that. I could be wrong. Please don't hold me to that. But yeah, there are different names you can call him on to that. And yeah, so those are my favorite names. And I love, 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 love to confess my sins. Again, it's not like a Lutheran thing because the Bible said If you say you're not a sin, you are not with sin. You call God a liar, and He is not a man that He should lie. So it's one thing I always do when I pray is instantly confess my sins before God and just proceed. Now, again, this is a very heavily religious conversation. I hope you stay to the end and just learn about God a little bit. He is very compassionate. He's very forgiving. He's very, very kind. Now, some people have been burned by people in the church. It wasn't God that burned you. It was the people, because we're all men, right? We all make mistakes. We all have our shortcomings. Fortunately for me, I haven't been in a church where I have been let down by the people in the church, so I can speak of that. But one thing my husband taught me earlier on in our relationship, and I will say this to you: you don't need people to pray for you before God can hear you. Okay, God, you can pray to God for yourself, and He will hear you. You'll be just fine. So, if the church have disappointed you, just go to God yourself. Build a personal relationship with them, build a personal life with them, because it's easier that way, just in case you're disappointed or let down in the church. Okay, now that brings me to the end of the video. I don't know if I covered everything, but let me know if you want to see more of this. I know there are really some good content creators that do spiritual and content. That's not my content, but if you've been following me for a while, you know I'm a Christian. I talk about God. I talk about my love with Him. So that's why today, when I was doing my makeup, I was like, let me just talk to them about some of my favorite things that I love about God. So yeah, I have a large testimony, larger than life. I always tell God, let my life be used for your glory. Let people see my life and know that God is real and God exists. So yeah, that was it. Thank you for hanging out with me. God bless you, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.